For nearly 30 years, audiences have watched super spy Ethan Hunt of the IMF fight his way through seemingly impossible odds, you know where this is going, to save the world time and time again. In this installment, Hunt, played by the perpetually sprinting Tom Cruise, is pitted against a familiar face backed by a mysterious force only known as the Entity. Will he save the world again? Probably, with a little help from his friends. It's Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm leaving the theater. I'm just staying here. It's not too busy. All right. Check. This is Ronald. Check. All right. This is Ronald, and I am leaving the theater after seeing Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, written by Christopher McQuarrie and Erik Jendresen, directed by Christopher McQuarrie, starring Tom Cruise, Hayley Atwell, Esai Morales, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa Kirby, Henry Zemi, and Pam Clementieff. For a complete cast listing, as always, you can look at the link in our show notes. I am not here alone. I am here with...
This is Chris Klimek.
Chris Klimek, once again. You haven't been here since Love and Thunder.
Yeah, that's right. More than a year.
Is that a year? Oh, that is more than a year. Wow.
That was summer 2022. I think that was a May movie, right? Or wait, no, Doctor Strange was the May movie and Love and Thunder was the July movie, I think. So, but it's been a year.
Yeah, no, that's right. Okay, well, welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, so this is the 8th installment of Mission.
This is 7. This is 7. But
okay,
it's the first half of it's the first half of 7 or. Yeah, it was 7 with one more to come. Who knows?
Okay, so this is the 7th installment of Mission Impossible.
Yeah, so on the metric system, it's the 7th Mission Impossible.
Isn't that
explains it clearly?
Isn't that on the regular system too, the empirical system?
I'm not a mathematician here. I'm not trying to start an international incident by suggesting whether we should be on the metric system or the English. I don't know. It's 7 fathoms of a movie. And it does have a submarine in it, so I kind of made it work in the end. That's
true. I was a big fan of the... I will say, seeing the submarine in this movie, with being so close to the submarine news we've had in the news, was not... It was unsettling, to say the least.
Yeah, I don't know. It's you can't spoil anything that happens in the first 10 minutes, right? So this movie...
Yeah, no, not at all.
It does open exactly like The Abyss. Speaking of news commentator James Cameron, you're suddenly ubiquitous, but... Yes, with the crew of a submarine detecting an impossible signal, something that seems to be moving too fast, turning too tight to possibly be a man-made submarine, and they have to deal with it. Lots of echoes of not just other movies, but like other genres in this Mission Impossible, I think.
Yeah. They definitely... Well, I was sitting there, a couple things. There was an opening scene that seemed like it was stolen straight from John Wick 4. And then there was another setting that seemed like it was stolen from Fast 10. Now, granted, I know all these movies were probably filmed around similar times, but not necessarily at the same time. But I remember looking at a set piece that was happening in Rome and saying, Dom and the family just did this about 6 weeks ago.
Well, and I know this one started production in Rome. This movie went into production in March 2020. So this is...
True.
It is, what is it? It is almost July of 2023. And... multiple COVID delays. Like this was all widely reported, right? Yeah. How this movie kept stopping and starting production. I think at one point, Cruise put everybody aboard a ship so that they would be able to quarantine.
Well, how do you feel about Mission Impossible as a whole, and where does this one stack up?
I don't know where it stacks up yet. I mean, for me, this is the most reliable adventure franchise going. I think particularly they've had 4 outstanding entries in a row. The second one is really the only one that I think is subpar, and even that
Agreed.
Has some moments. This one, I do have a sense of it is just like kind of biting off too much, maybe. And I mean, this is an endemic problem now. We've had just a raft of films that are part ones, that break in the middle. I know the new Fast just did this, Spider-Verse, which I loved, but I mean that did it too. Dune has been much discussed for that reason.
In terms of comparison to the rest of it, I think it is only better than 2. You're 100% right. I think it is well worse than the others. I don't even think it belongs in the same. There were things that they were doing in this movie that were such setup for the second one that it felt like, why are you even doing? Why don't we just skip to the second one? Because it seems like if the pieces need to be in a certain place for us to get to Dead Reckoning Part 2, then don't take me through 2 hours and 40 minutes of us running around getting there. At least make sure that I have fun while I'm there. And I think Avengers Infinity War does a really good job of that. Yeah. Avengers Infinity War is a part 1 that I watch over and over and over again because it's enjoyable. It builds, it has a beginning, middle, and an end. And when it ends, as a fan, you have an idea that they're going to go somewhere, fix something. You have that idea, but we have no idea how they're going to do it. We have no idea how they're going to pick up these pieces, any of that. At the end of this movie, I'm not even sure what you know what I mean? Like, what?
There were long stretches of this where I did lose the plot completely. I was just like, why? Paris, the Palm. I don't want to mispronounce her name, but
Mantis.
Yeah, right. Mantis from
Palm Clementieff.
Guardians films. I mean, very often in the spy genre broadly, and Mission Impossible in particular, there are characters whose loyalties are supposed to be somewhat enigmatic. Yeah. I never understood who she was working for. Not in one scene. Yeah. And there's it's so when there's a reversal that doesn't really land because I never, I didn't believe a particular thing about her loyalties to begin with.
And they kind of muff the reversal because they call the reversal out, and in a way that if you're watching as an audience, something happens that makes us already think that something's going to happen, and then the movie tells us, hey, this thing's going to happen, and when the thing happens, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm trusting anymore. Like, am I being double crossed here? The other thing I didn't like is I think if you really think about Esai Morales' character in this, he does not have one. There's not much character development here, except that his origin is that Ethan has a history with him. Other than that, we have no reason to know. And think about, we knew more about Owen Davian from Mission Impossible 3, who was going after a MacGuffin that they don't even tell us what it does. They don't even tell us what it does.
One of the things that I really like about that movie is that you don't know what the rabbit's foot is, and it's like the film is acknowledging that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I on the one hand, I would never undervalue what a great actor can bring to a role like that, and rest in power, Philip Seymour Hoffman. He was probably the best villain in this entire series.
I think so. He was certainly the scariest.
Yeah, and I don't always need to have a full round psychological history of every character in a movie or of every villain, but this movie does seem to want me to wonder about this secret, distant connection between Ethan and what's Esai Morales' character name again?
His name is Gabriel.
Gabriel, right. The angel Gabriel, which seems to,
of course,
right. And there's a little tease of something like that early in this film that is not paid off by the end of it, and in kind of the same way in Mission Impossible 3, which suddenly asked me to invest in Ethan Hunt's love life, which I kind of resisted at the time. I was like, I'm fine with this character just being a cipher, and that's something that as this series has gone on and these sort of weird public personas of Tom Cruise has become harder to divorce from this character. That's one thing that has actually made it easier for me to suspend my disbelief in these movies. Like, we've gotten to a point where I don't believe Tom Cruise if he's playing a regular person. I do believe him when he's scaling the Burj Khalifa or hanging off the side of an airplane. And I feel the movies have leaned into that about him. Like, this guy might just be fully deranged.
What would you rate this movie out of 5 stars?
I'm gonna. This is a hedge. This is weak sauce. I'm gonna give it 3. I'm still processing. I'm managing my expectations of a series that has richly rewarded me over the last 27 years, Ronald. So Yeah,
Listen,
very close to these.
Listen, I'm in there with you. I've been watching it as from the very beginning since 1997. So I'm in there with you, and I love just about every one of them. I rewatched them except for 2, which they made it easy because there's a lot of stuff that doesn't matter in 2 except for the vocal
And
quarter.
the cool cliff part is right at the top, so you can just turn it off after the awesome free climbing cold open.
Exactly. That being said, I think I give it a 2.75 of 5. Yeah, I think that there were, as a Hayley Atwell origin story, if that's what this is, and that's the direction they intend to go, because they did a very specific thing towards the end of the movie in which she says something that I was like, oh, that's what y'all are doing. That's what Cruise is trying to set up here. And if that's where they're going with this, then fine, let's do it. And I'll watch 100 more of these. However, as comparing this against the other movies, there was a lot of stuff that irritated me. I feel like Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames, God bless them, I'm not trying to sound ageist. I think they're too old to be doing this and do this believably anymore.
I think I looked this up the other night. I believe Ving Rhames is maybe 2 years older than Tom Cruise, 2 or 3, but he is age appropriate. He is a normal 62-year-old or whatever he is, and Cruise obviously is not. Obviously there are just entire armies of people invested in the Cruise Eternal Youth Project. So I'm not suggesting that he doesn't have all kinds of help, but just in terms of the drive that he brings to these movies and his perfectionism. Maybe it's misapplied perfectionism in some cases, because certainly we can pick apart the storytelling in this one particularly. Yeah, man, I don't know. Certainly, Ving Rhames seems like he needs a break. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm guessing that Alec Baldwin probably asked to be killed off. And
he added a seasoning to these movies that I miss. I want to know where is the Queen Mother. I'm completely Angela Bassett. Please bring her back into this.
I didn't see her until Fallout, and I thought she was going to be a permanent addition for sure.
Well, that all being said, 2.75. I don't want to watch it again. I will watch the next one, and I think that's that's about where I'm at with it. With that, Leaving the Theater is a production of OhitsBigRon Studios. Alexandria Ketch of Bias Studios mixes the show. Thank you, Alex. Show art from Heather Wilder. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. For more information about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 or Chris Klimek, check out our show notes. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OhitsBigRon. That's at OhitsBigRon. You can find out more about this show and other OhitsBigRon Studios shows by following us on Instagram at OhitsBigRon Studios and on Twitter at OhitsBigRonStew. That's STEW. Leaving the Theater will be back soon. Thanks for listening. And thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Ron.